Hi, I'm Buffy and I talk about movies. Today I'll be talking about Die My Love, directed by Lynne Ramsey and starring Jennifer Lawrence, Robert Pattinson, and Sissy Spacek. I was actually quite excited about this movie because even though I really need to dive into her filmography more, Lynne Ramsey is a very critically acclaimed director and I can certainly see why. She has a very distinct style and I thoroughly enjoyed both movies I've seen by her. We need to talk about Kevin and You Are Never Really Here. But I have to say I'm quite unsure about Die My Love, so let's talk about it. The film revolves around this young couple who move to the country and have a baby shortly after. The story is shown through Jennifer Lawrence's character's Grace's POV pretty much the whole time. We follow her as she slowly descends into a manic spiral, which means that the movie depends on Jennifer Lawrence's performance, which was fantastic. She does a great job portraying this relatable yet unhinged character and finds a good balance when it comes to showing emotions. On the surface, the character seems to be emotionally detached or not in touch with her emotions, but in fact, I think she just has trouble showing and accepting her own vulnerability. She is quite a complex character, and I thought Jennifer Lawrence did a great job delivering a believable performance. Robert Pattinson also did a phenomenal job portraying a neglectful partner who gets increasingly frustrated, worried, and confused as the story progresses. I thought these two actors had fantastic chemistry with each other. They seemed like real people in this real, overwhelming situation. I loved watching them fight, actually, because they are both quite unhinged, but they also have a baby and they don't want to yell, so they do this whisper yelling thing while they are being insanely mean to each other. It was entertaining and so realistic. It was interesting that the movie does not have a lot of dialogue at all. The struggles of these characters are conveyed through facial expressions and body language. These roles required a lot of physical acting, and I thought both Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson did a great job with that. I also liked Sissy Spacek's depiction of her character. Again, very believable and relatable, just a woman trying to do her best and reach out to her daughter-in-law to provide any help she can. I loved how soft and gentle she was being with Grace. And even though she didn't have that much to do in the film, she did a beautiful job depicting this character. The film is presented in a very erratic way to emphasize the main character's internal struggle, I think. Some of the sound mixing choices were interesting. They were overbearing and abrasive, like buzzing of a fly or a dog barking or a motorcycle being driven past the house or people talking behind Grace's back. These sounds were louder than they would be realistically, but these decisions put you into Grace's mental state really well. The same goes for how the film is presented visually. Its aspect ratio is 4:3, I think, which helps punch in on the characters' faces and gives a sense of claustrophobia, kind of. We're always zeroed in on the characters and it makes us feel for them in an intimate way. I heard that this movie was shot on film and it shows. Most of it was very beautiful to look at, and the framing was very intentional and purposeful. The camera movement was also intentionally sporadic in places, and again, it helped convey the main character's mental state. I didn't think Die My Love was visually perfect though, which was surprising because Lynne Ramsey's films usually are, and the cinematographer for this film was Seamus McGarvey, I think that's how you say his name, who has worked on films like We Need to Talk About Kevin, Atonement, and my personal favorite out of his work, Nocturnal Animals, which is so beautifully shot. In Die My Love, there are long sequences that take place in the woods at night, and it was really difficult to see. I wasn't sure whether it was a theater projection issue or if it was just what the film looked like, so I checked out a couple of reviews for this film to see if anyone would mention the same thing, and I saw at least one other reviewer, Spooky Astronauts, who mentioned that it was sometimes difficult to see what was going on screen. She actually does a lot of great horror movie reviews, but she also did this one, so I guess it was an intentional decision. It might have been done to enhance the realism of the scene or surrealism of the scene. In a weird way, both seem like a possibility to me, but the truth is that it was straining on my eyes to try to make out what was happening on screen during those moments, but I don't think that hindered my experience of watching this film too much. But I haven't seen anyone else talk about this next point in my review, which makes me feel like I might be a dumb idiot and completely wrong, but certain scenes in the woods at night looked like they were shot day for night. The only reason I question myself here is because the movie is directed by Lynne Ramsey and shot by Seamus McGarvey, who are fantastic artists, so I don't really know. It was quite jarring to see scenes at night in the woods that looked like there were rays of sunshine coming through the tree leaves, especially after watching extremely dark scenes in similar locations. If it wasn't shot day for night, I don't know what was done to make the scenes look like that. So if any of you have any insight about this thing, please let me know. Educate me me, please. I need it. Okay, now I'm going to move on to talking about the story itself and my disappointment in it, kind of. Okay, let's get to it. The movie starts out as an exploration of postpartum depression, but it becomes quite clear throughout the film that Grace has some other mental issues that she's dealing with and a boyfriend who's unable to meet her needs due to his own issues. The first two acts of the movie were quite well paced, in my opinion. I was invested, the story moved along, even though there's not really much of a story going on, honestly. We're just following Grace's downward spiral, really. But it was quite engaging, and there were moments of time jumps or flashbacks where you can really feel what the filmmaker is trying to do. She's emulating how our own mind has a tendency to jump through memories and experiences seemingly unprompted, even though there are clear triggers in the present leading you down that train of thought. I enjoyed myself more than not while watching the film overall. It was suspenseful and intense and compelling, but I think the third act of the film just dragged on way too much and lost me. It seemed to me like the movie was gearing up for an end at least 3 times and never got around to it. The whole film has this cyclical nature where similar things happen over and over, kind of showcasing the circular thought patterns that are so difficult to break out of sometimes. That is a defining characteristic of people who experience mental issues, especially depression. That thought process and being stuck in that cycle is very relatable and compelling. But in the third act of the film, we have already experienced this downward spiral, and I'm waiting for some sort of a resolution or untying of some knots, and yet the movie keeps going and going for way too long, in my opinion. I don't want to spoil anything in the film, so I won't go into any details, but I was kind of exhausted by the end of the film. There were quite a few foreshadowed moments that pay off in major ways by the end of the film, but at that point, the movie has dragged on for so long that the payoffs didn't feel very satisfying. Lakeith Stanfield also stars in the film, although he has a very short part to play. I'm not quite sure what his presence signified in the film, except for one purpose that I will not spoil here. I don't see the point in having him in the film at all. I think his presence and what it's supposed to signify might have just gone over my head, so let me know what you think about it, please. And finally, what I think speaks for my disappointing viewing experience of Die My Love is this. I went and saw this film with 2 of my friends. We go to the cinema together quite often, and usually after we leave the theater, we talk about the film and share our impressions, either in a general sense, or if we really like a movie, we go into some details, plot points, presentation, what have you. But after watching this film, we were so drained and tired that we just said our goodbyes and went our separate ways. And then a few days later, when we got together, we remembered that we hadn't discussed the film at all. So we generally went over the movie and our thoughts about it. My friends are more casual film watchers than me, so it was no surprise to me that they didn't enjoy the film as much as I did. But the truth is, I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I was hoping for and I expected to. Now, to be clear, after some reflection, I do think that everything I just mentioned was a deliberate, intentional choice on the filmmaker's part. The feeling of resolution and the ending just approaching, but then it never really comes. It's supposed to mirror how the manic spiral is not structural or linear, and how a resolution to mental health issues isn't easy or clean or absolute. The feeling of exhaustion the movie leaves the audience with is a reflection of the character's struggle with her mundane life and mental spirals. I think the film wants you to want it to end, just like Grace wants all of her issues and the immense pain she's in to end at some point. I get it, it's a powerful way to affect your audience. I just think Die My Love is not for everybody, and it wasn't for me either. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but I was left a bit unsatisfied by the end. I actually loved the ending of the film, how it actually ended, and I think it would have been much more powerful and impactful if it had come about 15 or 20 minutes earlier, in my opinion. As it is, I don't think I'll ever rewatch this film or recommend it to most people. However, if what I've described seems intriguing enough, if you're a huge fan of Lynne Ramsey, or if you're interested in acting as an art form, especially non-dialogue driven acting, I think you would like this film. Otherwise, I'm not sure you'd enjoy your viewing experience, since I do believe that the movie is intentionally draining. So that's it. These are my honest thoughts about Die My Love. If you've seen it, please let me know what you thought of the film. I'd love to hear differing opinions and impressions. I'd love to learn more about how it impacted other people. Now, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe if you're interested in more movie reviews, and if you feel like it, of course, and I'll see you next time. Bye!